Dealing with toxic people can be emotionally draining and difficult, especially when it comes to relationships. It's not uncommon for individuals to find themselves in situations where they're being abused or bullied by friends who exhibit toxic behavior. These people tend to spread negative energy, engage in unnecessary drama, and engage in constant negative talk, all of which can leave you feeling miserable. So, how can you identify toxic people? One way is to ask yourself some questions and pay attention to how you feel after talking to them. For example, do you feel energized and uplifted after spending time with this person, or do you feel drained and emotionally exhausted? Does this person tend to bring up drama or negativity frequently, or do they have a positive outlook on life? These are all important questions to consider when evaluating your relationships. For instance, let's say you have a friend who constantly talks about other people in a negative light, often engaging in gossip and drama. After spending time with this friend, you may notice that you feel drained and unhappy. This could be a sign that this person is toxic, and it may be time to reassess the relationship. Dealing with toxic people can be challenging, especially if they're friends or family members. However, it's essential to recognize the signs of toxic behavior and learn how to protect ourselves from their negative impact. Toxic people often exhibit low self-esteem and may spread rumors or gossip to gain power and control over others. One way to avoid getting emotionally entangled with toxic people is to detect them early on. Look out for traits such as narcissism, aggression, passive aggressiveness, and envy, as these are often signs of toxic behavior. It's also important to pay attention to how you feel after interacting with someone, as this can be an indicator of whether or not they're toxic. It's worth noting that toxic behavior is learned, and toxic people may have learned strategies to gain power and control over others. They may use drama and manipulation to embroil others in their problems, causing chaos and turmoil wherever they go. For example, let's say you meet someone who constantly talks negatively about others and makes you feel uncomfortable. This could be a sign of toxic behavior, and it may be best to distance yourself from this person to protect your emotional well-being. Toxic people can often appear charming and charismatic at first, making it easy for them to entangle others in their lives. However, it's important to recognize this behavior and be on guard for signs of toxicity. One way to deal with toxic people in relationships and work situations is to practice emotional detachment. This can involve setting boundaries and not allowing toxic behavior to affect your emotional well-being. By detaching yourself from the situation, you can maintain your own sense of inner peace and avoid getting caught up in the drama. However, it's important to draw the line earlier and learn to assert yourself without going overboard. Asserting yourself does not mean being aggressive or confrontational, rather, it means communicating clearly and effectively while still being willing to listen to others' perspectives. For instance, let's say you have a coworker who constantly undermines you and takes credit for your work. By asserting yourself and communicating your concerns, you can set clear boundaries and make it clear that this behavior is not acceptable. However, it's also important to listen to your coworker's perspective and try to understand where they're coming from, as this can help to build more productive and positive relationships. Developing self-confidence and self-respect is essential when it comes to standing up for yourself, particularly in the face of toxic people. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, it becomes easier to recognize and reject other people's negativity and toxicity. It's important to remember that you don't have to accept other people's negativity or toxicity. You have the right to set boundaries and protect yourself from their harmful behavior. This may mean saying no, standing up for yourself, or removing yourself from the situation entirely. Knowing when to handle a situation calmly, defensively, or with a fight is also important. Sometimes, it's best to remain calm and composed, while other times, a more assertive approach may be necessary. In extreme cases, you may need to stand up and fight for your rights. Saying no to toxic people can be difficult, but it's an important step in protecting your emotional well-being. It's important to remember that you're not responsible for other people's happiness or emotional needs. If someone's behavior is consistently toxic, it's okay to say no and distance yourself from them. One way to start avoiding toxic people is to slowly withdraw from their company. This can involve not answering their calls or messages, declining invitations, and spending less time around them. By slowly distancing yourself, you can protect yourself from their negative influence and create space for healthier relationships in your life. For example, if you have a friend who constantly belittles you or makes you feel bad about yourself, you could start by declining their invitations and spending less time with them. Over time, this may help to create a healthier and more positive dynamic in your relationship. Toxic people often project their own negative feelings onto others without being aware of the harm they are causing. This can manifest in a variety of ways, such as constant criticism, manipulation, or even emotional abuse. In dealing with toxic people, it's important to speak up and let them know when their behavior is not acceptable. This can be difficult, but it's necessary to protect yourself from further harm. By setting boundaries and asserting your needs, you can begin to create a healthier dynamic in your relationship. However, it's important to acknowledge that toxic people may not change, even if you confront them. In these cases, the best course of action may be to distance yourself from them. This could involve reducing or eliminating contact, depending on the severity of their behavior. Avoiding engagement in drama and conflict is also key in dealing with toxic people. Toxic individuals often thrive on drama and attention, so it's important not to feed into this behavior. Instead, focus on your own priorities and avoid getting drawn into their negative energy. Focusing on your own goals and personal growth can also help you be less affected by negativity around you. By working towards your own success and fulfillment, you can build resilience and confidence in yourself. This can make it easier to deal with toxic people and protect yourself from their harmful behavior.